Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be why the narcissist was testing you. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So by now you know that you were being tested from the minute you met that person until the minute you figured out who they were and what they had done to you. You see, the narcissist is a master manipulator. They are an illusionist. They're a shapeshifter. They are a dark energy force, and they are wearing a mask every single moment of their life. They knew that you didn't know who they were. They also knew you were uneducated about narcissism. They also knew that you were trusting, you were vulnerable, you were naive, you were committed, and you were an open book. You probably are an empath. You are a kind, stable, healthy person. And the narcissist took all of these beautiful attributes and so many more that you possess, as in right now, and they try to take them and capture them for their own. You see, the narcissist wants what they don't have, and that whatever they don't have, they want to take and they want to extinguish it. That's why you are what I call a beautiful, bright, shining light. You're not anything other than a beautiful human being. You're resilient, you're full of fortitude, growth, strength, purpose, and direction, and you are in the narcissistic abusive cycle, and you made it out, or you are making it out. Any way you look at it, you're getting the wisdom, you're acquiring the knowledge. You weren't taught this formally. You weren't taught it in school. You weren't taught it when you were younger. What you were taught most likely was, oh, that's just so-and-so, they had a rough childhood, or that's so-and-so, they only have one parent, or that's so-and-so, they have an imbalance, or just don't think about that person, that's just who they are, and we tolerate it. I've shared this in videos over the years. Maybe it was your uncle that people called the crazy uncle. Or maybe it was a brother or sister, one of your parents that was isolated. You never even knew about it, but they weren't included in the family holidays or get-togethers. Well, were they the narcissist? I can't tell you. Maybe they were the wise one, and maybe it was your parent who was the narcissist. Any way you look at it, you didn't know what you know now, and many of the things you were taught in the past don't apply to present day. Way back when, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have smartphones. What we used to do is just listen to our elders and pay attention to our teachers and think that they knew way more than we did because they were older than us. Well, that's not the truth. The older part is true, but them knowing more than us, I would put our wisdom against anybody's on the planet. Those of us who have been in the narcissistic abusive cycle, those of us who have had to heal, and those of us who stayed in it day in and day out, week after week, month after month, year after year, not knowing where we were. And we were giving to a fault, and we were people pleasers. And we didn't realize that we were trying to fix an unfixable relationship, but now we're understanding that. And this is one of the reasons why we were tested. You see, that person you're considering, when they first met you, they learned about you. They watched you, they watched your mannerisms, they listened to your words, your lexicon, your educational experience, your hopes, dreams, aspirations. They learned how close you were with your family. They learned if you were an only child or if you were adopted. They learned if you had support or money. They learned if you were new in the area, or if it was your first job, or if you were new in the religious organization, or if the car you just bought was your first car, or maybe you had access to a huge payday one day when somebody was going to leave you a huge inheritance. You see, the narcissist was trying to figure out if you would live up to become the next new supply. And the narcissist was grooming multiple people. They weren't just grooming you. You were the winner in that period of time in the narcissist's eyes. They thought that you would be the person who would provide the most for them. Now, when I say winner, I am not being sarcastic or comical. I'm saying that they were vetting other people. It wasn't just you, but they happened to set their sights on you because you possessed more of what other people didn't have. And it didn't have to be money or time or your appearance or your educational background. It could have been just the way you presented yourself, or maybe just putting a roof over their head for a couple months. Or maybe it was the way you loaned them money even though you never got paid back. Or maybe it was the way you stood up for them and you made excuses for them to the group and you tolerated their poor behavior, and you were always the person who gave them a ride home and picked them up and gave them gas money or whatever you did. You provided utility for that person, and that person took whatever they could from you, and they gave you absolutely zero in return. And once they took whatever they could, and or they found a better source of supply in their eyes, then they would usually either put you on the shelf or discard you. Anyway you cut it, the narcissist is loyal to nobody. They care about nobody. They only care about what that person provided or what that person can do for them. And once the narcissist gets what they want, then they put that person to the side. They slowly feast off of that person like a parasite with a host. and then they begin to look elsewhere for that person's replacement, or for other people to join that person, which was me and probably you, in the narcissistic fog, or in the trauma bond, or in the devaluation stage. You see, the narcissist wants people doing things for them. These people are what I call unpaid helpers, which means you do whatever you can because you're in that trance, or you're loyal to a toxic person even though they don't care about you, and you're doing whatever you can to maintain an unmaintainable relationship. You also were the walking apology, which means you were making excuses for them, and you were turning a blind eye. You weren't trusting your instincts, you weren't trusting your intuition, and you were doing whatever they wanted you to do. And you also were the person who would regulate the narcissist. By regulate, I mean you would be there for them. If they needed a ride from the airport, you would be there. If they needed you to wire them some money, you would wire them money. If they needed you to send them a pizza, you would send them a pizza. If they needed you to put them up for a couple of days because they were giving their current source of supply the silent treatment, you would put them up. But remember, you weren't taught this in school, so you didn't know what the silent treatment was. You didn't know what gaslighting was. You didn't even know what narcissism was. You definitely didn't know what rage fits were: verbal abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse. You didn't know that there were ties and tethers that needed to be cut, and they include the emotional tie, the financial tie, the physical tie, and the spiritual tie. You didn't know any of these things. What you probably were doing before you met the narcissist is you were watching TV or reruns of movies, or maybe you went to the movie theater, who knows, or maybe you went to Broadway or plays or performances or theater, and you would watch those performances or those movies or plays or sitcoms or miniseries, etc., documentaries, and you say, wow, that's fantastic, like, but that will never happen in real life. There's no way. Whoever came up with that had such a great imagination. Well, now you know all those shows and those theaters and performances you watched because someone else put on a show, they pale in comparison to your real life experience with a toxic person. And now you know where those ideas came from. Yes, the creators of those shows or theaters, either A, they were abused, or B, they were abusing people, or C, they observed it. Any way you cut it, truth is stranger than fiction. And the truth is, you now know that you were being tested every day by the narcissist. What do you think walking on eggshells means? What walking on eggshells means is when you would be holding your breath every time the phone would ring, every time somebody's name would pop up on a text, every time you would open the front door, every time you would go in your car and go to work or come home from work. And I'll talk about that in a moment, but walking on eggshells is no way to be living your life. Again, you didn't even know what that was. Before I just told you what walking on eggshells was and I gave you a brief description, you probably were thinking, oh, well, somebody cracks some eggs, they have eggs for breakfast, maybe make some scrambled eggs or something, and then they get the eggs and they put them on the ground, they walk on them. Well, that's not what it is. What it is you're not being heard, you're not being respected, you're not being listened to, you're being disrespected, you're being punished, you're being alienated, you're being isolated. You have to watch every word you say, and many times you don't say anything because anything you say can and will be used against you at that date, and also, of course, at a later date. But you didn't know these things, so how could you defend what you didn't even know was around you? You could sense it, you could see it, you could feel it, you could touch it, but you didn't know what it was, and that was abuse at the hands of a toxic person, maybe even a narcissist. Now you know what you didn't know back then, where you're learning it, and you understand that everything was a test. Truth be told, your whole life has been one huge test, but the hardest test you've ever had, and I can assure you I'm correct, and drop comments below if this resonates with you, was getting out of that narcissistic relationship. It was healing. It was putting yourself back together. It was processing things. It was understanding that person never loved you. They never cared about you, that they looked at you like an appliance, like a toaster. They looked at you as nothing but an object. They looked at you as an opportunity. They looked at you as a fuel source. They did not look at you as a beautiful, bright, shining light the way I look at you. They looked at you as someone who was naive and they could manipulate, someone who's vulnerable and they could lead on down to a path of future faking, and someone who's too trusting they could destroy. Once the narcissist knows that they've broken somebody over and over and over again via micro discards, and then, of course, the master discard, the ending of the relationship, then they never, and I mean never, think that that person will heal. They never think that person will put themselves back together. They never think that person will see behind the mask, and they never think that that person will look back and reflect and say, that was the test of a lifetime, and I passed. But guess what? That's what I've done, and that's what you're doing, or you've already done. You see, unlike most people before you who were in the relationship with the narcissist, yes, the one you're considering, or maybe people you've never even met, most of those people never A, got the wisdom, B, never healed, C, were still blaming themselves, D, were probably still caught up in the bond, the trauma bond, and E, or whatever letter or number I'm on, They never found the needle in a haystack. They never put two and two together. Again, remember what I shared with you. Go back in time if you're old enough to remember, before the internet, before the smartphone. Well, how did we communicate? A rotary phone or a push button phone, or we used to pass notes, handwritten notes in high school, or we would tell a friend to tell another friend that someone has a crush on you. This is how it was in the old days. Now, those days are never coming back. Many people wish they would. Well, they can't. You have to live in the present moment and what happened in the past, whether it was good, bad, fair, poor, or indifferent. You need to take the lessons and apply them and remember where you were, but that where you are now is not where you were, because now we have the smartphone and the internet. And the smartphone and the internet were two different things that the narcissist mastered way before we did, because they realized they didn't have to pass notes in high school. They realized they didn't have to steal their boyfriend or girlfriend's best friend away from them, or their best friend's boyfriend or girlfriend away from them. Now they could get supply at the push of a button 24/7 in all different countries all over the planet, wherever the internet is available and wherever there is cell phone service. That's why these people are always shifting. That's why they're always changing the mask. That's why they always appear one way here, one way there. That's why sometimes the narcissist is on cloud 9. Sometimes they're really down in the dumps. You may say, well, yeah, why is that, Andrew? Why are sometimes they were super high and super low? Well, think about it. With the narcissist, everything is either black or white, good or bad. It either goes great or it doesn't. And if they're choked out of supply, and this is in the past when you were living with them probably, and they will come home and they'd be miserable, and you knew you did nothing wrong, but you'd be given the silent treatment for a day or two, it probably wasn't because you did anything. It's because somebody at work, or maybe the person they were cheating on you with, wasn't giving them availability or something, but they punished you because you were what is known as built-in supply, but you didn't know it back then. So you thought everything was your fault and you were blaming yourself. None of this was your fault. You have to remember, the narcissist didn't walk up to you and hand you a 2-page report and say, this is who I am, it's what I'm going to do to you. I will trap you, I'll keep you a mental prisoner, and I'll abuse you any way possible, and I'll take whatever I can. I'll leave you a shell of yourself. I'll throw you away in the freeway, a crumpled up sheet of paper, and you'll never figure it out, and I'll be gone. I'll slither off onto a different source of supply. You didn't know any of that because they didn't say it to you. And if they did, you would have said thank you, but no thank you. You lose my number. There are 8.3 billion people on the planet. I don't need anything to do with you. I don't care how intelligent you appear to be. I don't care how many books you appear to have memorized. I don't care how beautiful you are due to all the liposuctions and all the plastic surgery you've had. And I don't care who your family is or what your background is, how much money you have or don't have. I want nothing to do with you, but they didn't do that. You see, they infiltrated your life. They crept in like a thief in the night, and they insidiously crept into you, your aura, your mindset, your soul, your energy, your purpose, your veins, and your life force. They never thought you would put 2 and 2 together, but you did, and that's why you're out, and that's why you're healing, and that's why this is the test of a lifetime. And it's the test that you will pass, and you will pass with flying colors if you continue to come back, watch the videos, keep your cup full, top it up, get the wisdom, apply the wisdom, maintain your boundaries, maintain no contact, and understand that you are the priority. You come first, second, and third. And there's no room in your life for toxicity, not now or ever in the future, because now you have something which is what I call, it's a superpower. It's a superpower on steroids, which is the wisdom on the narcissistic abusive cycle. And with this new superpower comes great responsibility. Your average human being, if they made it this far in the video, they would think that, what's this guy Andrew talking about? Like, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to go watch Happy Days or I Love Lucy or whatever the latest TV show is. No, that's because those people don't get it, because they're still living outside of where you are, which is the high vibrational state. It's the mountaintop, the pinnacle of indifference. That's why you did make it this far in the video. That's why you are putting yourself back together. And that's why you're cut from a different cloth than most people. Before I close the video, I'll share this. Why the narcissist was testing you? It's because they were watching you and they were seeing how much you would tolerate, how much time you would give them, energy, money, relationships, how much of your health you would give them, how many people you would introduce them to, and how much you would turn a blind eye to their abuse away from, meaning how much abuse you would tolerate. Eventually something broke, something gave, and something snapped, and that relationship ended. And when it ended, you were probably left isolated all by yourself, and you didn't know what had happened. And you were missing the narcissist, pining for them, if you will, thinking that they were your soulmate, they were the love of your life, and how could you go on? Well, that's exactly what I thought. Then I got the wisdom very quickly, if you will, and I realized that, wait a minute, this was a huge test. And I had been through hundreds, if not thousands of tests in my life, just like you have been. but this is the biggest test you'll ever go through. And I passed with flying colors. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fun. It tested me to my core. I experienced the dark night of the soul and so many other concerns, but I made it and I'm here. And that's not even counting January 6, 2021, which I won't get into. But I never forget the past. I don't stay in it. I use it as fuel to create videos each and every day and pay it forward. I don't predict the future because no one's guaranteed to be here tomorrow. I live in the present moment, in the abundance right here in the Carolina woods. And no matter where I am on the planet, no matter what season it is, I will always continue to pay it forward to you to help you keep your cup full and to help you, even though you may not even know you need help. That's why I do what I do, because this is a calling. This is my moonshot. This is my purpose. And this is why I create videos. And that, to get me to where I am right now, I had to pass that test of a lifetime. And then narcissists knew what they were doing. They always know what they're doing. They also know when someone gets too strong and when they actually don't matter to that person any longer, that they're worthless and they have no power or control over them, mainly no access. Because once we get the wisdom, we apply the wisdom. We went through this relationship not because we wanted to, but because there was a higher purpose to go through it. Did you want to go through it? No. Did I want you to go through it? Absolutely not. Did I want to go through it? No way. But I did, and I'm out, and I've healed, and I'm helping other people heal. You can do the same in your own capacity when the time is right. But until then, continue to focus on yourself and understand you are an amazing human being. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. And there's an airplane flying over, and I've got my earbuds in because I want to test something to see if the sound is any better or not better with my earbuds in. So that's why I have these in right now. And I'll figure it out when I replay this video later. I hope this video helped you on the healing path. I hope it's helped you understand that it's not just you who went through the cycle. I went through it, and there are billions with a B, billions of us who've gone through it as well. But not everybody gets as far as you have, and not everybody makes it to the pinnacle of indifference, but you will, and you are. So continue to fight for yourself, continue to pass the test, continue to learn, to grow, and to teach, and continue to become awakened and aware, educated and empowered, and believe in yourself the way I believe in you. Big heart, big virtual hug for you. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Bye, you guys. Bye, everybody.